it's Rachel. Welcome back to Book and Bloom. Today I have Tabitha with me, my little frog. Yes, I'm a 22-year-old woman with a Build-A-Bear. Don't judge me. So today I'm going to be sharing the 8 books that I read in June. Only a few of them I actually have physically with me. Most of them I actually read as ebooks or audiobooks. I'm getting out my Goodreads. So first off, I read Towards Zero, which I have the physical copy, but I didn't actually read the physical copy. What did I think about this book? So I love my girl Agatha, but this one was a 3-star for me. Some of the concepts in this book, I feel like she's just done better in other books. I definitely need to do a video where I go over my favorite Agatha Christie books, but this one I think is a little bit more kind of mid for me. It's kind of mediocre. So what is this about? It might interest you. It's about this famous tennis player, and he pretty recently divorced his wife. He basically was cheating on her towards the end. There's just kind of this weird tension going on between him, his ex-wife, and his new wife. His new wife does not like his ex-wife, but he comes with this idea. They're going to spend time together, the 3 of them, and try to be friends, basically. I guess this is a regular occurrence where they have this trip where they go to visit one of his relatives. His ex-wife still goes to visit this relative as well, but she goes at different time. They go different times so they don't see each other. But this one time he's like, we're going to like go at the same time and we're gonna spend time together, and this is totally a good idea. Yeah, and everybody is just so like on edge about it and so like weirded out by the situation. Like, why in the world would you pretend like you're all friends? Like, this is just not a good idea. I guess the mystery is pretty interesting, but I think the biggest thing I didn't like about this book was just how slow a burn it is. Like, you get to half the book and that's when things finally start moving. So for me, this was a 3-star. It's like, I liked certain aspects of it, but I feel like the pacing of it was just a little bit too slow. You know, there's some interesting plot twists. It's not quite to the level of some of the other Agatha Christie books I've read where my brain literally somersaults in my head and I'm like, what the heck? Like, how? Like, that is insane. Not a bad book, but just definitely not a new favorite for me, not as memorable for me. I can't tell you the names of any of the characters. I feel like that alone says a lot. So moving on, the next book I read, which was also another book I was unsure about, was Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis, which I'm so sad about because I was so excited to read the series. Sci-fi C.S. Lewis, like, that sounds amazing. Like, I love the Chronicles of Narnia. I love like his nonfiction writing. Lewis is just such an amazing writer. I have a friend who dearly loves the series and he just like he's recommended it to me so many times. I feel so bad that I didn't love the series. I don't know. I think personally characters matter the most to me in a story. If I don't understand what they want and what their motivations are or their internal conflict, or like if I don't care about them basically, then it's gonna be really difficult for me to care about the story as a whole. The character was very mysterious, and I feel like that's the only thing that I could tell you about him, is that he's very, you know, you could tell he's very intelligent and is mysterious. I just couldn't like have a connection with him. And so then other than that, there was just tons of world building. Yes, this world that he's on, this foreign planet, you know, the idea of that is very interesting, and C.S. Lewis is so imaginative. The ideas that he comes up with are just so interesting, but I just could not fall in love like I was so easily able to fall in love with like the Chronicles of Narnia. I don't know. I mean, I could tell that there's probably like some deeper message to it, and so maybe if I sat down with my friend and he kind of like explained things to me and helped me kind of better understand what the heck was going on and like appreciate it, like I could definitely appreciate it. For me, it was a 3-star. It was only because I just didn't know how to rate it because I didn't really enjoy it that much. It kind of felt like a chore whenever I picked it up, which made me so sad because I love, as I said before, I love C.S. Lewis. Like, I understand why people would like this, but I just think that maybe some of the elements to it just weren't really for me. It feels like kind of Gulliver Travels-esque, but sci-fi. So instead of him like traveling to this interesting island, he's going to outer space and he's going to a new planet. I mean, it's very fascinating, it's very interesting. I definitely would encourage anyone who's interested in, you know, sci-fi and stuff like that, who really does enjoy like interesting kind of concepts of like world building and things like that. But I just think it wasn't the book for me. Sorry, C.S. Lewis. I'd like to pick it up again, maybe some other time. Next up, I read The Little Prince for the first time. To be honest, again, it was kind of one of those things where like I read it and I was like I could kind of see some of the imagery, some of the ideas, but I still was also quite confused about what does everything mean? What does the flower represent? What does the trees that he's I don't know. I was very confused. I feel like it's one of those books that just have to kind of like let it sit and let it kind of marinate for a little bit before you can really like understand and appreciate it. And after looking up some analysis and what other people have, like kind of the messages that people have found in the book, I definitely had a much greater appreciation for it once I let it kind of like sit in, because I feel like it's kind of easy sometimes to just like read through a children's book and to kind of miss all of the like deeper messages to it. Some of the things that happen just seem so absurd. Now that it has really kind of marinated and simmered, I really do enjoy the messages and the ideas that are in that book. It definitely feels like a book that I would own. I would have it on my bookshelf, and if I ever had kids one day, I would read it to them. I don't know if it changed my life. It definitely made me very reflective. As you grow up, you just have this desire to like grow up and change and mature and move on and move to the next stage of life. And I feel like you can so easily just get wrapped up in all of the expectations the society puts on us, especially at certain ages that we're at. You know, we all have like this different timelines, and it's really hard to kind of just embrace, you know, the timeline that you have for your life, and to not worry about rushing it or trying to catch up to other people. I've especially been really like struggling with that myself, like comparison, and just thinking that, you know, I'm not doing enough. Basically, I'm not, you know, where I need to be. I need to be doing this. I need to be already here, you know. There's a lot of different messages in this book, but I feel like there definitely is a message in just like enjoying life and kind of the wonder of life, and not letting, you know, some of the pressures of the world stop you from just pursuing your dreams. The older you get, the more responsibilities that you have, the more pressure and expectations that people place on you. But we also forget the beauty of growing up, and the fact that yes, the older you get, the more pressures you have, but also simultaneously the more freedom you have to throw away our dreams. We throw away our imagination, our wonder, our curiosity, because we feel like we have to have it all together. And that's just like the biggest lie that we strive to achieve, because I mean, everybody else looks like they have it all together, but that's because we're acting like we have it all together when we really are just trying to figure out what we're doing. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling now, but there's just a lot of really beautiful like concepts in this book. But I give this a 4-star, and I highly encourage you to read this book yourself. It's very short. I think it's important for us to pick up books like this. Just keep your imagination alive, and definitely remind you of the importance of, you know, not giving up on your dreams, and also just never forgiving that like that childlike wonder of life. Oh, next up, I started rereading Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is, as you could tell, a biggin. It's just as great as I remember. I don't know if it's like supposed to be set in the future. I think it's kind of more set in an alternate universe, sort of. This book kind of feels like My Hero Academia. This is like an alternate universe where people are prodigies. So they have like special abilities. They're basically superheroes. Feels a little bit like cheesy, but like the right amount of cheesiness, and you just kind of have to embrace it. Heroes and villains, and you know, I don't know, it's fun though. Even though it's such a big book and this is a trilogy, they're fun books. There's a little bit of romance, there's some action, there's some mystery. There's two main characters, it's dual point of views. There's Nova, who is a part of the anarchists. Her abilities are related to sleep. She doesn't need to sleep, and then she also has the ability to put people to sleep. And so her like alter ego is called Nightmare. Yeah, that's right, Nightmare. Currently, basically kind of the Avengers almost. They're in charge. Government, law enforcement, they're everything. And so they're just trying to rebuild the city because there was anarchy for a little bit. Ace Anarchy, he's like the super bad guy villain who led the anarchists. For a long time, prodigies were discriminated against. He wanted to fight basically for the rights of prodigies, but in a questionable way. So there was anarchy for a little bit, then the heroes stopped Ace Anarchy, and so now they're in charge and they basically run everything. She is now going undercover, pretend to be a renegade. He of course has a tragic backstory, and she doesn't trust the renegades because they didn't help her when she really needed help the most. The other point of view is Adrian, and he has the ability to make his drawings come to life. He's the son of like one of the founding renegades, but he sees a lot of the problems with the renegades as well, and so he creates kind of an alter ego. So he's kind of in a gray area, and Nova is also kind of a gray area herself. She's beginning to see that maybe the renegades aren't as bad as she thought, and she's beginning to just question both of the worlds that she's a part of now. You could probably see some of the romance that's probably inevitable. It's a fun read. Definitely would recommend if you love sci-fi, if you love superheroes, if you like a little bit of cheesiness. It's a little bit of like slow burn romance, like kind of will they won't they. Next up, I read Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table by Louis Giglio. This book was so good. This is a Christian nonfiction book, and I just really enjoyed this book. I would highly recommend it for anyone who is Christian and wants to really strengthen your faith. There's so much wisdom in this book. Like, it was just such a powerful book. Last but not least, I started reading A Series of Unfortunate Events, which I will have a vlog about that coming soon. But I read Carnivorous Carnival, Slippery Slope, and Grim Grotto, which I actually have Grim Grotto because I went to the library and I picked it up. I picked up the last 3 books, so it was fun to actually like physically read these books. I love the writing of these books. They're just so quirky, they're so whimsical, and like such dry humor. I love how the narrator is like their own character, and you kind of go on a journey not just with the story that he's researching, that he's, you know, sharing, but also throughout the story you're uncovering who the narrator is. Like, that is so fascinating to me. I think I enjoyed the last books more. Really enjoyed like Slippery Slope, and then Grim Grotto it just feels more eventful and exciting. Some of the other books can get kind of like, the pacing can be kind of slow, but I feel like these last books were just like so fun, so exciting, so much going on. You're finally uncovering a lot of like mysteries that were so long being built up. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go in a little bit more detail about what I thought about the series as a whole in the vlog video. It's kind of that feeling, you're so sad that you're laughing hysterically. Like, I feel like that's what these books are, the essence of that. It's so absurdly tragic and unfortunate that you can't help but laugh. But I feel like if you try to explain what these books are about to somebody, you just sound like a psychopath. Like, why do you enjoy this series of unfortunate events? I do recommend it, and you know, if you don't want to pick up the books, the series on Netflix is actually so fun, so highly recommend that. And I also just highly recommend the movie that is just like my childhood. Those were the 8 books that I read in June. Of the books that I read, I think I would recommend most the Renegades, Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table, and then A Series of Unfortunate Events. I would recommend those the most, but I also would recommend The Little Prince. I mean, it's a short read and it's very thought-provoking. I would say I really had a good month. There definitely were some books that I didn't know how to feel about, but overall I had a good month of reading. I hope you found something, that maybe a book that you'll check out. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you read in June. I'd love to see your recommendations. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Read a book and bloom on. Bye!